What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports. Home opener has come and gone, and the Phillies, they are 3-1 on the season after beating the Colorado Rockies by a score of 6-1. This team destroys bullpens. I feel that's been the summary of the first 4 games. They struggle mightily against the starting pitcher, which they did again today, the German Marquez of the Colorado Rockies. But once they took him out of the game, once the bullpen came into impact, the Phillies bats woke up, and they woke up mightily, scoring 6 runs, a few of those off of the long ball. Kyle Schwarber had a huge 2-run bomb to give the Phillies a 4-1 lead. And then just to add a little bit of insurance, Max Kepler getting his first bomb in a Phillies uniform, and then Nick Castellanos goes back-to-back, adding those insurance runs, as the Phillies pitching basically has been doing what it's been doing for the first 4 games, minus Aaron Nola, and that is keep the other team basically limited to runs on the board. Like they did with the Rockies, they limited them to 1 run. Christopher Sanchez, pretty solid first start. Had, his pitch count definitely was getting up there. Comes out of the ball game after allowing a solo shot, but overall, the Christopher Sanchez experience for today, for his first start, pretty solid. I love watching Christopher Sanchez somehow throw 98 on the sinker. I did not expect him to eventually build up that arm velocity and find a way to throw 98. That is going to be a huge weapon for Christopher Sanchez as he continues throughout the rest of the season and basically throughout his career. Like I said, I did not expect him to develop that kind of velocity. It is absolutely nasty. Gets himself into a couple of jams with a couple of base runners in a few innings. Manages to get out of those situations. There was an injury scare off of a ground ball stopped by Bryce Harper as Christopher Sanchez is running to the first base bag. Had to stop for a little bit, but all things are good right there. But I'm rambling on a little bit here, but before we get into the rest of this, if you are new to the channel, I definitely recommend that you do hit that subscribe button. It would do me such a great deal of service with the YouTube algorithm. You could also drop a like and leave a comment in the comment section down below. I love to interact with you guys down there. You can also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Do not pass it up. And also follow over on TikTok and Instagram at TTP Sports for real shorts and all that good stuff. So, back to basically the business of today. Leaving off from the Christopher Sanchez experience, I thought Christopher Sanchez was very solid in today's game. Like I said, his pitch count definitely got up there in the first few innings, but he settled in, and he only allowed that solo shot, so he managed to get out of other jams that he was involved in. He went 5 1/3 innings in this game, allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run on the solo shot, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts for 93 pitches, so good from there. And the bullpen basically shut it down the rest of the way. Ryan Kerkering, Ross, Alvarado, and Romano with their respected scoreless innings there. Looking at the Phillies lineup overall, it was basically just getting shut down by Marquez. He went 6 innings, only allowed 4 hits, and struck out 4 on 83 pitches. The Phillies were definitely very aggressive, and they were getting out quickly, and there really wasn't much on, just... It was ugly. It was ugly. Just to basically summarize it, it was an ugly experience against German Marquez. But, like I said, once the Rockies went to the bullpen in the 7th inning, that's when everything exploded. Just looking at the lineup in totality, Kyle Schwarber, he goes 1 for 4 with the 2-run shot in that 7th. Alec Bohm 1 for 4. Bryce Harper 1 for 4. JT Realmuto another 0 for day. He had 2 strikeouts. Max Kepler, he went 3 for 4. He had a double, single, and a home run, so triple shy of the cycle. And all of his hits were hard. A lot of hard contact. A lot of solid contact there from Max Kepler. Like what I see from him. Nick Castellanos, he goes 2 for 4 with a solo shot. Bryson Stott 1 for 4. Brandon Marsh, he goes 0 for 2. He gets pinched hit for Trey Turner in that bottom of the 7th inning when Bryson Stott got the bloop single to the 2-out bloop single. And Trey Turner was up at the plate, goes down 0-2 in the count, and he works his way into getting a walk, which then forced the Rockies to go to the bullpen to bring in another guy, a righty to face Edmundo Sosa, and Edmundo Sosa, probably with one of the bigger hits of the game to get the Phillies on the board, a double into the right field gap, which scored 2 runs, gave the Phillies a 2-1 lead, and they didn't look back from there because directly after that was Kyle Schwarber's 2-run shot to dead center field, so great stuff there. Phillies go 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. They left 4 runners on base. And like I said, if you look through some of the earlier innings, there just wasn't much action. This game was just flying by. First inning, the Phillies go down 1-2-3. Second inning, Kepler did have the double. Nothing happened there. Bottom of the third, Phillies go down 1-2-3. Marsh and Sosa actually got robbed by the defense of the Colorado Rockies. Bottom 4, Bohm led off with a single. Nothing happened there. Bottom 5, Nick Castellanos had an infield single. Sosa then doubled, which made it second and third for Kyle Schwarber. He flailed and struck out. So nothing happened there. Bottom of 6, Phillies go down 1-2-3, and that's basically where it sets up everything against the Rockies bullpen in the bottom of the 7th. Kepler led off with a single, then Nick Castellanos grounded into a double play, so no one really felt good after that. Stott then had the bloop double, which got him to second base. Trey Turner worked the walk after going down 0-2. Then Sosa doubles when the Rockies go to the bullpen, and then Schwarber hits the 2-run bomb. Bottom 8, Bryce Harper leads off with a single, but then tries to extend it into a double and gets thrown out in the process. So classic Bryce Harper. JT grounds out. Then Max Kepler with his bomb just inside the foul pole, and Nick Castellanos with his bomb. The dead center field gave the Phillies a 6-1 lead, and they didn't look back from there. Romano came out for the 9th, allowed a single, and he got his job done. Struck out 2. Jose Alvarado with his absolute gas struck out 3. Joe Ross, after allowing a 2-out infield single, he had a really solid top of the 7th inning to keep the Rockies with a 1-0 lead there. And just good stuff overall from the bullpen. And the Phillies bats did wake up after looking pretty much dead for the beginning stages. And it's funny, too. I think I want to look at, just some of the overall stats here because it's insane what the difference between the Phillies against starting pitchers in these first 4 games and the Phillies against the bullpen in the first 4 games. So I think this is from Bob Wankel, where he kind of basically just followed up on all of these tweets. So the Phillies have scored 2 runs against opposing starting pitching through 22 1/3 innings pitched this year. They failed to score the first in all 4 games. But then they're killing bullpens, though. That's 21 runs in 4 games against opposing bullpens, and then he followed that up after Castellanos and Max Kepler with 23 runs. So completely different team against starting pitching and against bullpens. It's absolutely insane. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. What also is some crazy stuff is that Jerickson Profar of the Atlanta Braves, who they just signed in the offseason, I believe a $3 million, a 3-year contract, just got suspended 80 games for PEDs. So that's crazy. Maybe that's why Nick Castellanos went deep. There's always something, when always bad things happen, Nick Castellanos probably just has the senses go off in his hairs. And he just like, okay, gotta go deep. It's crazy. It is crazy. And here's another stat right here from John Foley with the starting pitching and the relief pitching against the Phillies. Starting pitchers against the Phillies in 2025, 23 1/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs allowed. And relief pitching against the Phillies in 2025, 12 2/3, 22 earned runs allowed. Granted, you are playing the Washington Nationals and the Colorado Rockies, but that is just insane splits. It really is for these first 4 games. I'm sure it'll eventually regress back to a mean where the Phillies are hitting against starting pitching and bullpens equally. But definitely crazy. Definitely crazy from those facts. And also, there's something that's very interesting, too. So we all know over the weekend with the New York Yankees, the big topic was the bats that some of the players were using, like Jazz Chisholm, Volpe, and all that stuff. They were called torpedo bats, and it looks like it's just a bat. Apparently, it's up to Major League standards. It just looks like it has a bigger barrel, and it's the whole craze right now the past few days because the Yankees were hitting so many home runs against the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. And then that bat eventually came up to a topic, and I think Michael Clay, the Yankees broadcaster, was talking about the way the bat was designed was that the barrel was moved more down towards the hands because Volpe was always getting jammed, and then eventually they moved the barrel back towards the hands to where if he gets jammed, it's still solid contact. I don't know what it is. Jazz Chisholm went on a Twitter rant earlier today about that being wrong, and it's just a bigger barrel. So It is up to Major League standards. I don't blame the Yankees for taking advantage of that, and it looks like a lot of other teams throughout Major League Baseball are taking advantage of that as well. Some of the Phillies are even going to be using the torpedo bats as well, I think. 4 players, actually. I think it's Bohm, I think it's Stott, I think it's Marsh, and I think Bryce Harper was also involved in those as well. So I can't blame the teams for taking advantage of that because they are approved by Major League Baseball. This is more of a Major League Baseball issue by just allowing the bats to go off. It's just, I can't blame the teams because they're not doing anything wrong according to Major League Baseball. This is Major League Baseball needed to take a little, put their foot down and it's like, no, we can't do that. We can't be changing the bats. We just can't. So I think there was also a quote by Matt Strom talking about this, that, pitchers, they're always like, pitchers are being checked after every inning for, cheating and supplements and all of that stuff to make sure, like, there's no sticky substances on the baseball. And it just feels like they're letting the, bats just do whatever they want. Lineups do whatever they want, but the pitchers are getting, like, nitpicked everywhere. So it's definitely a weird place right now for Major League Baseball, and teams are going to be starting to take advantage of, that bat being allowed. So there's going to be some type of thing throughout the rest of the season. I don't know if Major League Baseball is going to take any pro actions or anything to try to ban this bat eventually, because it is up to Major League standards. It is according to their measurements. So we'll see. But I just like, if you need a bigger barrel on your bat, that kind of just describes that you can't barrel a baseball up and you're not that good. Even, like I said, I'm not trying to say that about Bryce Harper. I'm not trying to say that about Alec Bohm because they can barrel the baseball up. But it's just like, do you really need the extra help? But I can't blame the players. I really can't blame the teams because they're doing something that's technically not illegal according to Major League Baseball. It's more of an higher-up issue with Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred and all that stuff. So I really can't blame the players. I could just got to accept it at this point until something else happens. I think Alec Bohm was actually using the bat today, and he got one of his singles, but nothing really much else happened there. And also, you had an instance where Alec Bohm showed some frustration where he banged the bat on his helmet after a strikeout, after a swing he didn't like. So, ups and downs with Alec Bohm, I guess. Ups and downs. But, yeah, overall, the game flew by for the first 7 innings because nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. It's the basic description. The Phillies are killing bullpens, and they cannot hit starting pitching for some reason. I don't know why. It's first 4 games, so like I said, that'll eventually regress to a mean where they're doing both. But it's just, like I said, a very weird, thing that is happening right now. It's kind of funny, too, if you think about it. Opening day, always very fun. Saw Brandon Graham, Saquon Barkley with the Lombardi Trophy out there throwing one of the first pitches, so that was fun to see. Just the opening day, the home opener experience in general, sold out crowd and all of that stuff. So it's just fun things there. It was hot though. It definitely was. Very abnormal weather for this time of year, but it was also perfect baseball weather. It just sucks that my seats were like directly in the sun. So it's also just because of coming off of surgery, I can't sit for that long. So I can only sit for around between 1 and 2 hours at a time. So the 2 hours was basically up, I would say 3/4 of the way through the game, right. I think we got up halfway through the 6th inning, or yeah, I think it was the 6th inning when Christopher Sanchez came out of the ball game. I think that's when we decided to get up and try to find somewhere to stand, and that's where we stood the rest of the game. So definitely a weird day. But hey, ended up in a Phillies win. That's all that matters at the end of the day as well. So, before we get to any calls here and look at anything else on Twitter, here's also something about the torpedo bats. What Alec Bohm said, this is from Devon Caney of WIP. Alec Bohm says he only took about 5 swings with the torpedo bat before the game because they had just been dropped off. When asked if he thought it worked, he said, "Did I hit a home run?" Oh, man. That is hilarious. But yeah, let me go to the rest of this series with the Phillies and the Rockies to see what the pitching matchups are. Obviously, the Phillies do not play tomorrow, so there's a day off in between the next 2 games, which is always weird because they're doing that with the first 2 games of this season, the first 2 series of the season, actually. So you get the day off tomorrow. which is supposed to rain probably. It's supposed to, there's like chances for rain this entire week, so I have no idea what the weather is going to be like for these games this week. So you got Wednesday, Zach Wheeler going up against Kyle Freeland. Then Thursday, Tywin Walker makes his dreaded debut against Senzatella. And that closes out the series against the Rockies. And then get the weekend series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Luzardo against Yamamoto, Nola against Sasaki, and Sanchez against Glasnow. And then you go on the road to play the Atlanta Braves and the St. Louis Cardinals. You do have a day off in between the Dodgers and the Braves series. And also an Atlanta Braves team that is going through some heavy hits right now, as they just lost Jerison Tropar for 80 games because of PEDs. So that is crazy. And it's funny, too. The Milwaukee Brewers were complaining so much about the bats that the Yankees were using because the Yankees scored so many runs and hit so many home runs off of them over the weekend in the opening series for them. They lost 11-1 to the Kansas City Royals, so I don't think they have any room to talk. That is crazy how many runs they're allowing in these first 4 games. Insane. The first weekend of baseball is always crazy. And also, speaking of the Atlanta Braves, they're playing the Los Angeles Dodgers this week, too. So they're 0-4. They got swept by the Padres. So they might not win still. They might not win. The Dodgers are 5-0 and the Braves are 0-4. Even though both of those teams are eventually due for a loss and a win. Who knows? Who knows? Crazy things here. Crazy things here, boys. Crazy stuff. So we might as well get to the Anytime hotline, get some of your calls in here. We do got a couple of them before we end this stream off. The stream's probably going to go rather quickly just because I'm tired. I've been out all day with the game. It was also hot out, and I also got to figure out what I'm eating for fucking dinner. So appreciate you boys hanging out, even though it's short times here. So let's get to Sean's call first before we get to Zach. So let's hear what Sean says.
Well, Amadeo, I got to be honest with you. I was ready to extend my condolences to you for having to sit through that crapola that was the Phillies offense the first 6 or 7 innings. But I'm glad they righted the ship. I mean, it's a little scary to me. Mackenzie Gore's a pretty good pitcher, but we haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of starters yet. And we're making these guys look like Cy Young. But you got the win. Mundo Sosa, baby. Best 6th man in baseball. No question about it. I mean, have bat will travel. He can play anywhere. Glad to see Jordan Romano, even though the game was out of reach, have a bounce-back ninth. I'm glad to see that he threw his fastball a little more. Got away with some pitches, but hopefully that'll help his confidence. And once again, like I've been saying, starting pitching carries the day. What more could you have asked from Christopher Sanchez? Pitched his ass off, should have got a win, but as long as he keeps the team in the game, that's all you can ask for your starter. Solid win for the Phils. Glad you had a good time.
Appreciate that, Sean. And I do think with the way that they're, like I said, the crazy splits against starters and relievers, that's eventually going to regress back to the mean. I don't think they're going to struggle this much against starting pitching and then just murder bullpens, even though that would be absolutely hilarious if that's the case, because it really doesn't matter what the starters do. The Phillies are just going to kill the bullpen, but it does put a lot of pressure on your starting pitching to keep the other team not doing anything as well, to wait for your offense to do something for against the other team's bullpen. So, like I said, it'll regress back to the mean. And yeah, also Edmundo Sosa, it's every time when his number is called upon, especially like when he needs to play, if like somebody's injured, like Trey Turner, like we saw last year during when Trey Turner missed that month of May with the injury and some of June. Edmundo Sosa was great. He was fantastic, and he's basically replicating that right now. And yeah, just a couple of doubles for Gus, and it's fun. I call him Gus because one of the Discord chats that I was in, they just always called Sosa Gus for some reason, and it just stuck with me. But yeah, put some good swings on the bat, and also like the one at bat that just is probably going to go a little bit by the wayside is Trey Turner's at bat in that 7th inning when he came up to pinch hit, goes down 0-2 in the count, and finds a way to work a walk, fouled off a couple of pitches as well. But he extended that inning, got at the Sosa, forced the bullpen change, and Sosa did his job, and Kyle Schwarber did his job, and then some with the 2-run shot. So just huge at-bats by the Phillies against the Rockies bullpen. So it's good stuff there. good stuff there overall. Now, let's get to a Zach's call before we wrap this thing up.
Good game from the Phillies. Way to get back on track. I barely caught any of this one. I was at the home opener in Baltimore, just looking at the box score. Sanchez looked like he had a really good outing. Slow offense going there through 6 innings, but Sosa opened it up with the big double. Got Schwarby with the bomb to center. Kepler, 3 hits and a ribby. Cosby, 2 hits and a ribby. Good to see Turner get in there. The walk. So glad, hopefully he'll be playing Wednesday. I'll be there. Bullpen was real good. Alvarado and Romano were nasty. Good to see Romano figure it out after a rough outing early on. But, yeah, I mean, hopefully they win tomorrow. You'd like to see it sweep. You take 2 out of 3. But good game all for the Phillies. All right, go Phils. Peace.
Just a correction there. The Phillies do have a day off tomorrow, so it's one of those weird things with the schedule. I know. But yeah, just overall some good stuff, and hopefully you had a good time at the Orioles home opener. I know you posted some of those pictures on Brodes Discord there, Zach. But yeah, overall just a fun game, and like I do love Max Kepler's game from today. Just looks solid. He's had a couple of good, solid bats to start the year so far, and got his first homer in there. Like I said, I do think playing in Citizens Bank Park will be a major benefit to Max Kepler in terms of power. So, of course, obviously, he played in Minnesota, and I think the ball does carry in Minnesota with the elevation and all that stuff. But overall, I think just playing in a better hitter's ballpark will help out Max Kepler a lot more. And he does have a lot of raw power, so it's very fun to see there. And so far, yeah, he's batting .364 in the first 4 games, 500 on base, .818 slugging. So good for him. Good for him. A lot of that's probably elevated from today's game, but overall, just good stuff. So, got the day off tomorrow. Game on Wednesday, Zach Wheeler on the bump. Hopefully the Phillies will hit against the starting pitcher on Wednesday. If not, they'll probably just destroy the bullpen again. So we'll wait and see. I do see you in the chat here, Tyler. Yeah, that Max home run was very fun to see. Very, very good to see. So appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Also, leave a follow on TikTok and Instagram for real shorts and all that good stuff. So, appreciate you guys for tuning in as always.